And I'd like to call the meeting to order. Can we please have a roll call?
Committee Member Bush,
Present.
Committee Member Hall,
Present.
Committee Member Matute,
Present. Also.
Vice Chair Azuna
Present.
Chair Snell,
Present. And would Commissioner Matute lead us in the pledge of allegiance, please?
Yes. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we will have public input on non-agenda items. Are there any?
Denise.
So we do have a speaker, but I believe it is for item 1, so yes, Denise Wright.
Is Denise here?
So it's-
Oh, there she is. You can go right here so we can all see you at least. Go right ahead.
Good evening, Audit Subcommittee. Isn't it interesting, again, how you try to put the public at a disadvantage? Like, the city council members not wanting to hear from the public after the council lied to them about the English Avenue housing for the severely mentally ill. So the council was trying to hide from the public. So the city council members here, along with the others, scheduled only one city council meeting this month, originally on the same day as the Audit Subcommittee. But that would be a really neat trick, even in places a long time. So the meeting was moved to tonight, but originally, like the last Audit Subcommittee meeting, the agenda was the only thing posted. So when I called the city clerk to find out why there were no materials posted, I was informed that it was a special meeting. So the materials only had to be posted in 24 hours in advance. To which I responded, well, that does not be a disadvantage, because that's not enough time to go through it, take it in, and be able to write about it. Or were you hoping nobody would notice you changed the date of the Audit Subcommittee meeting? And these are ways the Audit Subcommittee puts the public in disadvantage. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And now we'll move on to public input. Agenda items under special agenda items and consent calendar only. Are there any speakers for this consent calendar?
We don't have any speakers for this item, and I'm going to take advantage right now to ask if there's any Living Act disclosures from any of the members. No?
Okay, and any committee members have any questions with respect to the agenda calendar, agenda items? Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion.
So I'm going to announce this is a consent calendar. All items will be considered and approved in one motion unless moved by a member for discussion. Approval of minutes and routine items such as approval of contracts, resolutions that do not require public hearings are controversial that are approved in one motion. So the first item is approval of meeting minutes for March 22nd, 2023 and for August 19th, 2025.
And can we have a voice vote on that?
Yes. So there's a.
Okay, any question? I'm sorry.
The question is going to move the consent calendar.
Moved by Councilman Hall, second. By Councilman Messiah.
Committee Member Matute?
Aye.
Were you going to do a voice vote or do you want me to vote?
No, you vote.
Committee Member Hall?
Yes.
Vice Chair Azuna
Yes.
Committee Member Bush?
Yes.
Chair Snell?
Yes. And I move forward. Okay, public input on remaining agenda items. Clerk, are there any speakers on the remaining agenda items?
We have no speakers.
Okay. So let's move on to There are no continuing items. So at this point in time, I'd like to open up to the staff administration report.
So the staff administrative item number 6, we have a quarterly internal audit status report.
And
Good evening, everyone. I'm Tammy Lohr-Schweitzer. I'm a director with Baker Tilly, and I'll be presenting this quarter's update on the internal audit program. So we have 2 engagements that we are currently working on with the city for this fiscal year. The first is a customer service performance audit to evaluate the efficiency, effectiveness, and equity of the customer service function out of the city manager's office. In this last quarter, we were able to scope this analysis and we were submitting our document request. However, we found that the city manager's office is undergoing some additional changes right now, and therefore asked that we pause this audit for the time being. And so we will be circling back on that schedule starting in January to allow the city manager's office some time to adapt to some of those changes. We also have our ongoing internal audit services, which is just participation in meetings like this, as well as coordinating with staff on our audit program. Are there any questions on this report that I can answer for the committee?
yes, Committee Member Bush.
I'm not sure what you meant by the last comment, but separately, will you be providing an update on the results of the management audit? There was a number of things that still need to be completed. Is that a separate item, or is that part of the item that you're presenting now?
Are you describing the update on the prior findings and recommendations?
Could you say that again? That's
Sorry,
right.
I wanted to clarify if the question was related to the quarterly status report or if it's relating to the update on prior findings and recommendations of whether those have been implemented.
I think the answer is both, but for example, there was a number of items with respect to airport management, capital asset, internal controls, service fund, fleet efficiency, et cetera. Is that a separate point of discussion, or are you asking for questions on that now? That's separate.
Yes, finance will be presenting that.
Okay, got it. Okay.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I just had a question of, with the customer service performance audit, since it's going to be restarting in January, approximately when do we anticipate that it'll be completed, and approximately when do we anticipate that the audit subcommittee will get to review findings?
Yes, so we will be circling back with the city in January to determine if that's a good time to start. After we are able to get started on the work, we anticipate that it would take about 4 to 5 months for the audit process to occur. So that's whenever we can sort of start the clock on that is when you'll be able to see the results 4 to 5 months after that, and then we'll present at the next possible audit subcommittee meeting.
And Oliver did want me to mention regarding this that currently they're evaluating the structure at the city manager's office. We just had a recent retirement of he moved to a different city, Christopher K. Smith. And so he was overseeing the 391 system. So he needs time to do that, as well as with the realignment plan. We're investing in some of these things, especially the hosting. A lot of these quests that are in there, about 70% of our public works related. So he wants to give us some time to kind of play all that to play out, and then we'll evaluate our customer service. So that's what he has communicates.
Are there any other questions with respect to this administrative item? Can I have a motion with respect to it?
Move to receive and file.
Second?
Second.
Okay, second by Mr. Matute. Commissioner Matute.
Did you want to do
Vice Mayor.
roll call? Committee Member Bush,
Yes.
Vice Chancellor Muscat,
Yes.
Committee Member Hall,
Yes.
Committee Member Matute,
Yes.
and Chair Snell.
Yes. Okay, let's move on to item B, status report on the findings and observations of internal audit.
So this is my report. I submitted with the packet,
Sorry.
the findings and the current any progress on it. And we also sent to you responses to some of the questions that came up at the last meeting. Some of them were related to your questions, others were to was their report, and what else? Oh, the capital, the asset, we provided a response on that. If you have any question on this report, I can definitely try to answer most of them. If there's any specific questions, I can have our department representative show up at the next meeting. So that's
Hi,
Commissioner Bush?
I just had some general questions. Well, actually, people stepping back, are they going to present anything else on this stuff? Okay. Okay. So if I look at the capital questions, and again, that was capital assets, internal control testing, finding 1 and 2. I understand there's no update. But do you have a sense of whether there might be an update, or is there something, is this on hold indefinitely?
This is,
Specifically, just for the other members of the committee, it's finding number 1 and finding number 2.
this is what you talked about.
Is this the inventory from the assets?
Yeah, we've talked about this a couple of times. So
Yeah.
one of it was the inventory of the assets, and the second one was sort of documenting where the assets
Sure. For inventorying the assets, I think there was a misunderstanding of during the internal audit when Moss Adams, E. Bailey approached us and said, "Oh, are you inventorying the assets?" We took that as it's finance inventorying the assets. Previously, finance had in the accounting system capital assets like the furniture, certain office equipment, that sort of thing, on the books. We have since raised our capitalization threshold to $50,000, so pretty much no office furniture, or unless it's very large, is going to be capitalized. So we had stopped doing that because in the new system, we did not have those same capital assets by department, so that we could send each department a listing of, oh, do you still have this equipment available? What we didn't relay, and this is partially my fault because I was in the middle of this audit and then I went on vacation when I came back, it was already done. But for things that are likely to go missing, like PCs or vehicles, they actually are inventoried every year. So PCs and the printers and all that, the IT equipment is inventoried by ISP every year. Big Blue Bus equipment, the rolling stock and that sort of thing, that's inventoried by Big Blue Bus every year. And it also, because there's maintenance on those vehicles, it's scheduled, then that, if suddenly a bus goes in there when they're trying to maintain it, that would be pretty obvious. And the same with the fleet department. Fleet department also services all their vehicles every year, so they as well are counted.
Capitol Hall?
When we do annual inventories, are we doing it cyclically where we're doing like 10% a month, or is it like 100% audit inventory?
My understanding is based on, so we have a fleet management system for both fleet and for Big Blue Bus, and my understanding is when the vehicles come in or come up to the required maintenance, that's when we know it's there. Also, for instance, both fleet and the Big Blue Bus schedule these vehicles to be out. So if a refuge vehicle has to go to driver so-and-so, so in that respect,
What about like PCs though?
Yeah, those are refreshed to the asset management system, the IT asset management system. And then every time item connects to the network, and it actually inventories it. And then items that haven't connected to the network is the ones that would be missing or something. So that's kind of the way they keep inventories. Each of our systems has an inventory card. These are what's kept every time they get with the computer. That's the way we control those. And they're all connected to the network as well.
Do we differentiate between, I guess, normal assets versus like sensitive items? Versus like sensitive items, like I'm thinking like police scanners.
Yeah, and the police department has their own scanning system as well, where they They inventory for their weapons, everything is inventory by the police department. They do keep an inventory on it.
Also, if it's federally grant funded, then it has to be inventory every year. Thank you.
Go ahead.
So do we want to ask Baker Tilly to look at, so I don't keep asking the same question every meeting? It sounds like these have been addressed and finding them.
So that's, I think, the next time we provide the report, we'll indicate that and how we address it. I think we just need to kind of document it in the report that we send to you. We haven't done that, okay, we'll do that definitely. So it'll come off this list, not
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, all right, so I'm going to jump to other things here. Just on the permit efficiency study, unless, I didn't actually look at this hard copy, so it may be different than what I downloaded, but what I downloaded said there was no updates on the permit efficiency study, is that correct?
That is correct. So the last time the Subcommittee was here to present to you with an update of the community study, we haven't had any other major progress. But part of our realignment plan is to look at that area, and we're gonna, I think it's sometime early this year, we're gonna kick in the new system, Clarity, which is gonna handle some of this permitting burden.
I had a question, and it may be outside of the scope, so feel free to defer it, but I know in the city's realignment plan, there was discussion of modernizing the permitting process. There was a slide that was presented. Also, I've had 3 or 4 members of the community come up to me with various concerns about the permitting process. So I'm just wondering, will we be integrating this slide, which again was presented by the city manager, with the permit efficiency study, or how did these two things come together?
I think they should be integrated somehow. So as we look at this, and we'll give that feedback to CDD to make sure that anything that's in there that's still an open finding is addressed as we roll out the new permitting system and we make upgrades to our permitting process so that we close these out. Okay, but they are going to be, all the stuff in this report is being addressed in this new permitting system, new process they're creating.
Okay, and is there an expectation of a completion date for this? Or has the
There's going to be, I think, phased in rollouts. I think the initial, the first phase is to roll out the Clarity system, which actually is going to help with some of the permitting stuff. So I can definitely get you some dates, possibly a timeline for that, and when these have to be addressed.
Okay, yeah, I think that would help.
I have a couple of other questions.
Was there anything else on permitting?
Anybody else have anything on permitting? No.
There was also a number of findings about human resources organization assessment. And I had the same question. There was a couple of slides in the realignment plan that talked about building out the organization. Will those slides be integrated with these findings?
I don't know if they would be integrated. I'm not sure that all those items are the same as the findings. If you find the finding that you're specifically referring to, I can possibly address that. The report that we gave you has the updates to whatever item we're still getting. It's in your package, it should be in your package.
Okay, because what I had printed out said there were no updates, but maybe the hard copy of what you've given me, maybe it has updates.
Yeah, but I guess to answer your question, yes, if it's something we gave it to a finding here, then we would make sure that it's updated to the finding. But a lot of that stuff is about hiring, looking at our processes to make sure that we're more streamlined, so we can bring people on board faster. Okay, to address our real appetite.
Okay, all right. I had just one more question. And the last question I have with respect, and I know that there's staffing constraints and that has slowed this down, but with respect to the CERT and managing some of the IT assets. Were there any updates in terms of the dates?
We have a proposal
For which item?
from the IT, the CERT.
So these are some of the updates that we have.
Can you read that?
So right now, you can't read it.
I can't read, I'm sorry.
It is in the packet.
Okay, so it was in the hard copy, and if I were to read the hard copy, it would have whatever's up there. Okay, I can do that.
So there are some progress. So they're making some efforts towards the IT governance plan. And right now, they're documenting all the processes and all the supporting business units, training staff with the new technology tools, methodologies. So that's going to help our governance plan. That's one of the items in there. They're still working with that, but there are, like you mentioned, there are staff constraints that have slowed that down. What's the other one? IT asset management. User acceptance testing and development and updates of the asset management system that they have to make sure that it's in sync and that there's no breakdowns in the system. So they are working with that. And your package should have that information.
Are there any other? Okay, so let's move right along here. Let's move on to item number C. Staff, would you present the update regarding the joint dispatch efficiency study final report?
So Lindsay's here to present. This is the
We've done this, so that makes sense.
Did we vote on Richard as well?
Oh, you sure did. I'm moving so fast here. Can I get a motion?
Move to receive and file item 6E.
Second.
Okay, second by Mr. Bush. Roll call?
Committeemember Whittington,
Yes.
Committeemember Hall,
Yes.
Vice Chair Janicki,
Yes.
Committeemember Bush,
Yes.
Chair Snell.
Yes. Thank you for slowing me down. Okay, now let's move on to the Brock's update regarding the joint dispatch efficiency study final report.
Hey, good evening.
Oh, there you are. Okay.
Hi, I'm Boo.
Hi, Lizzie.
Nice to see you all. So, thanks for having me back. It's been a minute since we talked about dispatch, so I wanted to come to you. One of the questions that came up from the audit subcommittee was our use of data to evaluate how the dispatch center is doing, and so this presentation focuses on that element. Just a reminder, I'm the Chief Resilience Officer of the Office of Emergency Management, so I oversee public safety communications, which is 911 dispatch and radio dispatching, and then also emergency services and preparedness, the Emergency Operations Center. So I've been a little bit busy. I've delayed this once or twice because of Palisades fire and FEMA recovery, so I appreciate the committee's patience on that. Okay,
Is this an annual report?
what am I doing?
Another.
Other
Just
way?
scroll down.
This is a request from Committeemember Bush
Okay.
to provide updates on the data, right?
Yes, on the data.
Gotcha.
So there was a question specifically
Not out.
related.
Yeah, it just wasn't a random question. It came out of some work that was done about a year and a half ago.
Oh, is that what-
We made a presentation,
Correct.
and we were looking at joint dispatch and the benefits of dispatch.
Okay, all right. Thanks for that.
And we're still moving forward with joint dispatch. We are part of the city manager's office right now, but there is transition happening as the city manager's office changes a bit, but joint dispatch will be continuing. The specific question that was brought up from our study was looking at the standards for call answering time, saying that available data on police call pending times and fire call processing times have historically been limited, which has impacted PSC's ability to fully understand its performance and make changes based on performance results. So just history on that, previously with our old CAD system, an individual had designed all of those reports, but we couldn't see the background behind them. Like what actually is being measured, and the process to update those reports was a little murky. So we changed our computer-aided dispatch system to Versaterm, where we got additional information from that system, but we still needed to build the reports. And we also needed to hire a CAD administrator. So this is talking through that. So first, what is CAD? It is the brain of public safety data. It is the system where dispatchers put all call information in there, assign what units are responding, and we track the progress of that call through the CAD system. So first, we are continuing to use a technology called Spider Tech that if you place a non-emergency call, you may get a text message afterwards saying that your call has been confirmed with the police department, and it may give you a delay message if it's over a 30-minute threshold. And then when police respond, it will typically send a closure message telling you basics on what occurred with that incident. And so that was a project implemented by my team because there's a lot of, it's very vague. You put in a call for service and then you're like, what happened to it? There's not a lot of transparency. So that was what we were trying to achieve here. It is, messages are not sent anytime where a text message could pose a danger to a reporting party. I keep doing that. So typically they are, to date, or since the end of October, there have been over 23,000 CAD text messages sent to reporting parties. Typically 86% of those individuals who answered our survey, 11% of our surveys are answered, and 86% of the respondents say that their issue is a non-emergency occurrence. So I'm just going to look at our survey results related to dispatch. There are questions related to the police department, but currently I do not represent them. So we ask, how satisfied are you with how quickly your call was answered by dispatchers? And the breakdown is there on actually the survey answer, but generally 80% are satisfied and 13.4% are dissatisfied. The rest are in the neither category. However, that doesn't necessarily align with our actual call answer data that we get from the state, where over 96% of all 911 calls are answered within 10 seconds. All 95% of even our non-emergency calls are answered within 15 seconds. And so that is surpassing the state's benchmark level. So it's a little bit of a public perception versus the realistic expectation of dispatch. So, but it's a measure to show how quickly we are triaging calls. Question?
So this satisfaction rate here is literally just how fast the dispatcher picks up the phone.
Correct. So, and it's always curious to me, like, that this score is lower than our other. We used to have a question about how quickly police respond, but I think that question's been removed from this. So we also ask a question about professionalism. How satisfied are you with the professionalism of the dispatcher that you spoke with during the call? 86% are satisfied, 8.1% are dissatisfied. And we receive a report every week with all of the survey answers where our supervisors go through, find which ones are dissatisfied so we can review the call and see, was there a customer service breakdown? Was there another issue that was involved? So we can really go through that. Because dispatching is a tough job. Nobody calls dispatch to report good news. They're dealing with a lot of stressful situations, and sometimes people take curt behavior or curt conversations trying to get to the point as being discourteous. So, but we do want to make sure that we're improving where we can. The other thing we are measuring now more robustly is call pending time. So the difference between when the call was placed and when dispatchers pick it up to when units are actually dispatched. Now, mind you that most dispatchers are cross-trained. So the same dispatchers who are entering fire calls for service are entering police calls for service. So for fire call pending times, our target for specific, they're called NFPA call types, like cardiac arrest, choke, trauma, unconscious individuals, is getting that call out to firefighters in 60 seconds. We have hit 62 seconds for that, and for all of our calls for fire and EMS, it's at 92 seconds. And the fire department's target for us is 90 seconds.
Okay.
And it's just a total coincidence that both of those are 2 seconds over. Like, I actually asked our CAD administrator, being like, can you give me the point, so. But we're doing really well there. Now, there's a
Sorry, is there a state standard for the, oh, sorry.
It's only the NFPA standard. The 90-second standard is internally set.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
I'm just a little confused because in that first column, it says all target is 90 seconds and then standard for the NFPA are those?
These are just swapped. That is a typo
Okay.
on my part. So this
Okay.
all is 90 seconds. These two, thank you for noticing that. Sorry. So for all calls, we've had 14,733.
Okay.
Oops, sorry. The call pending time was 92 seconds. The target is 90 seconds. For NFPA, these two are swapped.
Got it.
It is 645 calls for service between January and end of October, 62 seconds and 60 seconds. Yeah, apologies, yeah.
So, what is involved in the data entry? I imagine it's addressed type information, but like what, and how do they?
Yeah, so we have two dispatchers who are working fire. So you have, and we have several people who are trained on fire call taking. So call comes in and they are asking questions. You write the first question, even usually on the answer will be what is the address of the emergency, because that's the most important piece of information. So as soon as we get that in and a basic call type, we'll push it to fire. We try to, for medical calls, we have what's called emergency medical dispatch, where we have to ask certain questions. And this question leads to this question to really tailor down and get to the right call. Is it a cardiac arrest or is it chest pain? So that we can narrow it down. We continue to update the call as we're getting more specific information. We can change the call type based on more specific information. But just because a dispatcher or call taker is asking questions, it doesn't delay the fire department starting to get ready for that call or going to that call. And that causes a lot of confusion amongst the public. They're like, stop asking me questions, just send someone. But at the same time that they're getting asked questions, a radio dispatcher is receiving all the typed information and reading it to the fire department and launching that those firefighters and now paramedic personnel. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And that process is same on the police department side. So we have folks, the police call takers, usually the same person. Sometimes our dispatcher or call takers are going back and forth between police and fire calls. And they are updating, there's two police dispatchers who are handling the radio, sharing information to police department personnel. Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh,
just-
sorry.
Whoever.
I see
Yeah,
you're
but you-
kind of hard seeing people raise their hand.
I
Yeah.
know, but
This
those
A for this
magic
A.
buttons are not there.
Yeah, exactly.
Is an ambulance considered part of the fire department? Okay.
And now, so yes, we now have ambulance units, the AU program that has launched. We also dispatch more Cormac units previously and now, but the Santa Monica ambulance units will start taking the place of the McCormick units.
Okay, so if one of the realignment recommendations go forward, that won't impact anything because you're already dispatching these ambulances.
Correct.
And then the other question I had on this, there was another recommendation in the realignment program about regional fire dispatch operation. Does that impact the work that you're doing?
Yeah. So we are interested in the revenue opportunities and have heard concerns from our neighboring agencies about the levels of service they believe they're receiving from their dispatch center. And we're working on kind of assessment of the program, their workload, what it would take from our dispatch center to adequately deliver service to those new communities while maintaining the level of service in Santa Monica. I will say that in the audit report that Mass Adams completed for us, it made staffing recommendations that were never realized for our current call volume, current staffing model. We have no changes have been made, and so I am very careful. I don't want to take on additional services for other communities until we are whole. I also want to make sure one of the challenges with our consolidation was that we put everybody in a room together. We said, okay, start working together, but we didn't allow for training and right-sized staff so that we could implement training first while continuing operations. It was like trying to do both at the same time. And with a 24/7 operations, that's really hard to do. We're still dealing with that now. And so I want to make sure that we're very mindful in our approach to make sure staffing takes into consideration the training needs.
Good.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Yes.
So just, I'm sorry if you said this already.
You're good.
Are these numbers for the prior calendar year, or what time period is this for?
It's for January 1st to October 31st.
Of this year?
Uh-huh.
So for the first 10 months, we've had almost 15,000 just regular car calls and
All of the calls, yeah. All fire calls for service.
hey, that's a lot of calls.
It is. Oh, it gets better on the police side.
Ooh.
Okay.
Oh, this is just fire.
This is just fire.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so these are our police calls for service. Again, same time period, January 1st to October 31st. So the police department sets the priority level. So they have different situations that they call types, and then they assign a priority level for that call type.
Okay.
And then we triage the calls. We ask people questions to try to get to the call type, assign a priority level, and get police department personnel out. And it is a very fluid process. So the fire department, you have this call type, and you assign these units. On the police department, it is an art on like, okay, we're gonna send out this unit, but it could be potentially dangerous, so we're gonna have a secondary officer in the car to go out. On big incidents, it requires quite a few personnel to go. So like it is not as prescribed as the fire department. We've done a lot of work making sure that this data is good. So in the past, I honestly don't know how great that data was because we couldn't see the back end of it.
Right.
Now we're able to dig in and really see what we've got so we can start answering questions why.
Okay.
So the highest priority level is priority 1. That's only 1.25% of our total call volume. And the average time to get as much information as we need to send police department staff out is 2 minutes and 33 seconds. And that is, again, from the time that call hits our system, including the call wait time to officers dispatched. Priority 2 is 11 minutes, 37 seconds. That's 16% of our call volume. So that's quite a bit of calls. And that is our focus on improvement right now, trying to dig into the why. Priority 3, 16,000 calls, 29 minutes. Priority 4, non-emergent calls, 14,000. It can be an hour on those calls, and then report calls, non-emergent calls, priority 5, can be up to 3 hours for a report time. So a couple of things on this is that when we don't have officers to send immediately, the dispatcher will do a broadcast. There's no way for us in the data to timestamp that to where we can show it on the chart right now. Like, what is our average broadcast time? We're working on that. But we just added the timestamp so we can make sure that dispatchers are broadcasting it quickly.
Right.
So that at least they're doing their job. If no police officers are available, we're still broadcasting to let everyone know, hey, this is coming up. We need to get one of the officers off of a different call to the next one, right? Or the watch commander needs to do some prioritization. Dispatchers aren't trying to rush police officers who are working with a resident or a business owner and say, you need to move on to the next call, right? They don't know what's happening on scene. So that broadcast is a way to help prompt everybody along. So we're really trying to get that broadcast time documented so we can show that the dispatchers are doing their job and really try to figure out when is it officer availability that's an issue. Yeah.
Would you mind just giving an example of each of these priority goals?
Right. So shots fired is a priority 1. A priority 2 would be anything related, like a kidnapping or something like that. Even if it's something where it's a perceived, it's not confirmed, it would still be a priority 2. For priority 3, for a disturbance of the peace at a business, so a homeless individual who is, yelling, having a bad day, but is causing concern among patrons, right? There may not be a direct threat to anyone, but it is still something that is time sensitive enough that it is that level of call. Priority 4 would be, I'll do another disturbance of the peace, 415 music. So somebody calls in and is complaining that their neighbors are playing music really loud, or that there's a party happening or something like that. It's not causing necessarily an immediate threat to property or life or something like that. It's non-emergent, but we still want to tend to it. And then report calls would be if somebody calls and they had something happen to them that they discovered. Maybe it happened in the morning. Hey, I saw this vandalism. I want to file a police report. Can you come out? And that's where we have the longest delays. We also have been trying to educate the public about when you can file a police report online so that an officer doesn't necessarily have to be involved. And dispatchers try to call, if a call has been waiting for a report call, it's been waiting a really long time, dispatchers will proactively make phone calls at about 9 p.m. being do you want to keep waiting? Do you want to call back tomorrow? And try to, work with the reporting party to figure it out.
Do you have the ability for a situation like that?
Yeah.
Do you have the ability to send a text to the person with a link to filling out the police report?
We don't have that specific situation, but on our text message with the confirmation, all of the text messages do have a link to a website that has a link to the online reporting. Yeah.
Are the dispatchers, they're fully trained for the previous slide as well as this one, so any individual can take either set of calls?
Most of them. So 100% are trained in police call taking because that's our highest call volume by far. It's about 75% are trained in fire call taking. And again, that kind of comment I made about we did the consolidation and it's hard to train and do operations at the same time. That and COVID put a really big wrench in our cross-training plan. We got through a major national staffing crisis we just needed to answer calls and get radio dispatching out, kind of put a pause on our cross-training. But we've hired We've hired 7 staff members in the last 2 years, 2.5 years, so that's really positive, and we've really picked up our cross-training since then.
So were you, because of the last time we met with you,
Yeah.
were short-staffed. Are we about fully staffed?
We're about fully staffed. We have 2 more vacancies to fill, and then, we still haven't met the recommendation of adding any staff members, but that will make us whole to our 2020 staffing level.
So on the second point, it says outliers in data. So do you by any chance happen to have the median response times and like how many outliers there were?
Not with me, but that's a good question and data I should add. So the reason though for those outliers is sometimes a call will start as like a non-issue. Let's say a car is blocking a driveway, right? No, okay, we're gonna move that along, we'll get somebody out of it when we can. But then the neighbor goes out there and decides, I'm gonna take matters into my own hands and start arguing with the person whose car that is, and it turns into a fight, right? Let's just hypothetical.
Right.
Not that any Santa Monica residents or
No,
businesses
no, no.
have that happen, but like hypothetical situation. So in that case, like it would start as a lower level priority and then be escalated to a higher priority because now it's a fight in progress. The timestamp on that is for the highest priority level. So when we get the report, it will show, it may have pended for 30 minutes while traffic services was trying to remove the car, get the tow company out, whatever it may be. But now it's a fight. It looks like it took them 45 minutes to respond, when in fact, that's not necessarily the case. So we're really trying to figure out how, the median idea is a good idea, how we like separate those and identify them. And it's really hard for us. We send our call, the little graphic is an example of the report we get. So every week we get a report on when the calls exceed our time targets. And we can review them to see what happened. But like sometimes it's hard to say like, oh, well, this big incident was happening at the same time. All the units were focused on, this incident at the pier, or whatever it may be. And so it's a bit challenging to piece it together currently. The other thing, translation can delay it. Major incidents response. Let's see what other things we do.
So your data right now is showing the impacts of the fires,
Right.
right? So a lot of those numbers, like even the average time could be skewed because of that. It could be.
Yeah. So like in January, we implemented for like a 3-week period the evacuation protocols, where a lot of police response was focused on maintaining the curfews and the evacuation orders. So that also could have altered it a bit. Yeah, there's just so many different factors. That's why we're really trying to get that broadcast timestamp, because that's what the dispatcher can actually control. Like, am I getting the information and I'm giving it to police as quickly as possible? The rest of it, what else is going on in the city? How many police officers were at work that day? Like, it's really hard for us to control it. The best thing has been,
Sorry, just,
Guys.
those last 2 categories, non-urgent and non-emergent, are calls, are those both the calls that come in through the non-emergency line, or is all of this 911 and it's just how it's classified?
it's a mixture of 911 and non-emergency. I would say most of the time, the report calls are not coming in through a 911 line.
I would hope not.
And usually the dispatcher is like trying to educate the caller if that happens, so.
I hear you about the broadcast
Right.
timestamp, but let's also make sure we're not tracking the response
Oh,
rate,
100%.
because that's the actual output that we get.
Right. And we also have data on travel time, right? So when the police officer They go en route, there's a time when they arrive on scene, and then when they clear the call. And so all of those timestamps are tracked.
How are we reporting man on the road as first responders on scene?
So that's a good question. And I think there will be more information on like how that timestamp's working with the real-time crime center. So, because we do have a unit for the drone, sometimes the drone hops on calls even before the call is entered. And so that can be a bit confusing for everyone. We're really working through that process right now. They can have the ability to listen in on 911 calls, and it's helpful, but also they're not necessarily, they may be listening to one, but there are 3 other calls happening at the same time, and so like it can be a little bit of a, we're working through it. Yeah, but it's a good partnership. And I think the Real-Time Crime Center will give the drone operators additional resources to help document their activity in CAD real time.
Any other questions? All right, so
Sorry.
I asked the committee for, sorry.
Very popular.
I'm sorry, I didn't see it.
A couple more.
I'm sorry.
What is the staffing model, like shifts? Is it 8 hours, 12 hours?
It's 12-hour shifts, and we have 4 shifts, 24/7. And so typically dispatchers work 1 week for 3 days, 1 week for 4 days. We are very reliant on overtime to fill in vacation, sick time, all of those things. And then, we have a supervisor per shift. Usually it's 5 to 6 dispatchers per shift, sometimes 7.
And when, so when the data comes back in, like when an officer or a firefighter radios and says they're en route on scene, is that recorded by these same people or is that someone else?
It can be the actual responding unit. So they have mobile devices, in the fire rigs and the police units, and that they can actually just tap it and it records it, or they voice it over radio and dispatch will record it. We try to reduce the amount. It's like part of this new CAD and the new technology is training mostly the police officers to use their MDTs to do this, so it frees up radio traffic so that we're really voicing kind of the pertinent information on radio.
Okay.
Fire has been doing their own work for a really long time.
You guys have any other questions?
Just one really quick thing. I want to give it's a credit to the council and the budget. We were able to hire a computer-aided dispatch administrator to do all of this work, maintain our CAD system, and good data in is good data out. And so, previously it was like me trying to do all of these reports. And yeah, exactly. Oscar's shaking his head because he can't, I try to learn as much from Excel from my husband who's an accountant, but I'm not there. And so it has been just such a value. We also, the CAD administrator can send back calls to police officers and dispatchers where there needs to be changes so that they can be educated on how to properly document. And again, we're really working on digging into the why. Priority 2s are our big focus right now, as are building 2 dashboards. So one is a report so I could answer these questions dynamically with a dashboard. And the other one is a tool for our dispatchers and watch commanders to use so that they can visually see the calls that are pending for too long. Right now, it's very hard to differentiate those calls on the CAD system, and so we're working through that. Right now, it's just dispatchers having to kind of constantly scan, and so we want to make sure that there's a visual way for dispatchers to better identify. So anyway, just wanted to we do have a plan in place, but I appreciate all the questions.
And can I also, Lindy, ask if any of the committee members want to do a walkthrough of the?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
Great.
a
Yeah, I know I've done it.
A
I know.
walkthrough.
Yeah, so
Or a
maybe
sit-along where, you
sit
know,
along?
we have to make sure you're cleared to do so, but we can have you sit with a dispatcher and plug in so that you can hear the calls and the radio dispatching. It is eye-opening.
Because I don't have to take the call.
It is, you don't have to take calls. It's an eye-opening process just to hear the back and forth between residents and, you know, nobody calls dispatch on a good day, and we understand the public is stressed out when they do it. So, yeah, our dispatchers are incredible folks.
I'd like to do that.
Okay, I thought so. I've
Okay,
done it,
well,
so I thought,
I might need to schedule therapy for right after, but.
now,
if you want to email me directly, you can, or you can email oem@santamonica.gov, and we will get one set up for you. Okay.
The council members can talk to our
Yeah.
staff.
Perfect.
so I asked the committee, can I get a motion with respect to this study?
Is it by receive and file, or what is the motion that we need to make?
Just receive five.
Okay, so moved.
Bush, second by Bill Hall. All, you could roll over.
Committeemember Bush,
Yes.
Vice Chair Snyder,
Yes.
Committeemember Hall,
Yes.
Committeemember Whittington,
Yes.
Chair Snell,
Yes. And as I see, doesn't look like we have any other items on the agenda. At 6:56, please, with this adjournment. I want to thank everyone for coming. I know they are a very nice presentation. And to thank you, everyone, very much so. This probably was the quickest, was it the meetings out? Well, thank you. No, I'm very efficient. Okay. Thanks again.